For years, my mom and sister kept trying to push me back into a relationship with my toxic ex, convinced he was the one for me, until I moved on, married someone who truly loved me, and found out I was pregnant. Now they're desperate to be part of my new life, but I haven't forgotten how little they cared about my happiness when it truly mattered. When I was 16, I started seeing my brother's best friend. We were together until I finished high school, at which point he proposed and I turned him down. This led to considerable family turmoil, with my relatives urging me to reconsider a lengthy engagement or at least a promise to reconcile. My bond with my brother, who's 36, suffered for a while, but my relationship with my sister, 32, never truly recovered. She was convinced my ex was ideal for me and became insufferable, especially once she began dating my ex's brother. My siblings often invited my ex to various gatherings, even some family holidays, and I initially kept quiet, understanding he was their friend too. That changed when my sister actively tried to push us back together. She went to great lengths, from arranging blind dates to making us share a room during holidays, ensuring my ex was present for every occasion. Eventually, I'd had enough and asked my parents to step in. They made it clear to my siblings that inviting my ex or letting him tag along so frequently needed to stop. Things improved slightly. My brother backed off, but my sister did not. Everything came to a head when I met my husband during a semester abroad. He was from a different university but the same country, and we just clicked. It felt magical to me, and we got engaged after dating for a year. My family was thrilled for me, except for my sister. She kept insisting I was in a honeymoon phase, and would eventually move past it. I clearly didn't, and after countless arguments and attempts to reunite me with my ex, I truly can't emphasize how many, I finally warned her that if she pulled anything similar again, I'd stop speaking to her. What did she do after that warning? She made me her maid of honor and requested I spend all my time with the bridal party, which included my ex. She also arranged for one of her friends to be my husband's date. We didn't realize this until the reception, where the poor girl actually tried to flirt with my husband. My sister's justification was that since we weren't married yet, it was acceptable to explore other options. I left the party and the following day spoke with my parents and brother. I explained that while I wouldn't force them to choose, I would never speak to my sister again, and if they attempted to mediate, I'd cut contact with them too. My mom was devastated and tried to negotiate, but my dad and brother said they would respect my decision. Aside from 2 attempts from my mom, I haven't spoken, written, or interacted with my sister at all in the past 6 years. She has tried everything to reconcile, from gifts to tantrums, but I simply ignore her. If we're at a family event or dinner, I act as though she doesn't exist. Initially, she made snarky comments or tried to stir up drama, but since no one supported her, she eventually gave up. She did have a meltdown when she found out she was invited to my wedding, but wouldn't be involved in any preparations. My brother admits he feels guilty for letting it go on for so long, and his relationship with my ex has suffered. They still talk, but they're not as close as they once were. The recent issue, my mom's birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and I finally announced we're expecting our first child. It's not the first grandchild, but it is the first granddaughter. Everyone was overjoyed except my sister. My mom noticed this and invited me for tea the other day. My gut told me not to go, but I wanted to be optimistic. The first thing I saw upon arriving was my sister's car. As I entered, there they all were. My sister, her husband, my ex, and my ex's mother. They had planned an intervention because, according to them, my childish tactic had gone on for too long. My ex claimed he was just trying to be romantic but understood I couldn't appreciate it. His mother stated I was simply hurting my sister for wanting the best for me, and that since she'd apologized, I needed to forgive her. I was sending texts to my dad, brother, and husband, looking at my mom in disbelief. My ex's mother even had the audacity to tell me I was a hurtful person and needed to learn to act like an adult now that I was having a baby. Then my mom started reading a letter about how heartbroken she was that her daughters weren't close, how my sister was wrong but well-intended, and so on. My sister then read her letter, crying and essentially echoing what everyone else had said. I remained silent, just sitting there until my brother arrived. He was angrier than I had ever seen him. He gathered my belongings and told everyone he was incredibly disappointed and disgusted. We went outside and sat in his car until my dad and husband arrived. By then I was just sobbing and my brother kept apologizing. I'm not sure what happened inside after we left, but I sent an email to everyone except my mom, attaching my lawyer's contact information. I stated that I wished to never be contacted by any of them again, and if they did, I would involve the police. No one has contacted me directly, but I know from my dad that my mom and sister are hysterical. They told him they hoped to mend things so my sister could be part of my baby's life, possibly even as a godmother. My dad is currently staying with my brother. They both support me, though some other family members do not. I've even had mutual friends call me, concerned about my sister's well-being and asking what happened, as she's now spreading the narrative that my husband is keeping me away from my family. I dislike airing my private life, but I did go the public route, posting a long Facebook update about everything that occurred. My sister, her husband, and my ex are being dragged, which, even if not entirely intended, I feel they deserve. My mom has been inconsolable, which does make me feel somewhat bad, though not as bad as she made me feel with her little intervention. I agreed to talk with her a couple of days ago and establish ground rules for any potential future interaction. These include therapy, family therapy, clear boundaries, no sharing information about me with my sister, and separate holidays. Most importantly, if she ever tries anything like this again, she will be completely cut off. She feels this is too much, but she's willing to agree. She seemed to think it meant immediate access to baby news and that everything was resolved, but I told her it's a process and she needs to demonstrate improvement. My dad and brother refused to speak with my sister and continue to apologize for not intervening sooner. We've forgiven them, as they've been able to move on and grow. My husband supports whatever I decide, though his mother is unsure if cutting off my mom's access to her granddaughter is the right path, but she ultimately says it's my decision. I'm conflicted about what to do regarding my mom. To address some common comments regarding their logic, my sister claims she's no longer trying to get us back together, but that I can't deny her the chance to be an aunt. She called me a bad sister for being close with my in-laws, who are amazing people. I obviously don't believe her. My main concern is what to do about my mom. I wish I could explain my sister's thought process, but I genuinely have no idea. My husband's theory is that she might be mentally unwell. The ex is still holding on to mixtapes and CDs I made him about 20 years ago, which is both ridiculous and unsettling. My brother did begin to distance himself from my ex when I expressed my discomfort with his constant presence. I was living away for college but would visit family during breaks. My brother also made a significant effort to make my husband feel welcome, which further strained his relationship with my ex, as my ex felt betrayed. Today, my husband is one of my brother's closest friends, and my brother only speaks with my ex when it concerns our nephew or to avoid being impolite. My mom's apparent support for me not wanting my ex around now seems like a facade. Only my dad was truly on my side. On the day of the tea party, my mom told him she was making my favorite tea and sweets, but that he couldn't stay because we'd be having quality time together. My dad left to spend time with my uncle, thinking it was a thoughtful gesture from my mom. He's very upset now. My husband tried hard with my sister when they first met, but now he just ignores her and believes she's mentally unwell. We don't know if she is, but there's no excuse for her behavior. They invited my ex and his mom because they claimed it would be good for me to face the root of my issues with my sister. Or at least, that's their official story. We're not Indian, nor are we particularly religious. My husband and I are from the same race, and there's no wealth disparity between my ex and my husband. If anything, my husband is better off financially. My in-laws, both my brother's wife and my husband's sisters, are enraged by the situation. My husband and his sisters will be speaking with their mom about her comment. My brother and his wife are considering permanent no contact with my mom and, in the meantime, won't allow her to see my nephews for a bit. The more I reflect, the more I think I might need to consider continuing contact with my mom for my child's sake. My husband is heartbroken to think all their interactions were fake, and is even more furious that she made me cry and doubt myself. I realize there are still countless conversations to have with my family about my mom, but I will definitely be seeking a restraining order against my sister and my ex. A semi-update on my family's situation. I had a conversation with my mother, but she insists she knew best, that I'm a bad person, and she plans to pursue grandparent rights or even custody. I'm none of what she says, but I still panicked, so we sent her a letter about it. My dad has definitively moved out. He told her he couldn't tolerate her terrorizing his child. My brother and his wife have also decided to go no contact. I know it seems sudden, but I think I understated the level of despair I felt after the intervention. My husband told them afterward that they needed to seriously consider what they valued, and to be understanding and receptive to everything. But he wouldn't raise a child in a toxic environment. Reason #3271637 Why I love my husband. He's heartbroken about my mom and her dishonesty. He says she'll never get anything from him, as much as revenge goes here. My husband and his sisters talked to his mom about her comment, and made her understand why it was entirely inappropriate. As many of you assumed, she's a very loving mom from a loving family. My dad and brother continue to apologize for any part they played in this. My dad can't believe it escalated to this point. He says it still feels surreal. Regardless, they support me no matter what and say they're willing to help me fight whatever ridiculous battle my mom or sister instigate. Update 2, December 17, 2021. Thank you for the lovely messages and encouraging words. I decided to post here so it wouldn't be deleted like the original. Things are both great and horrible simultaneously, but I'm trying to remain positive. My brother and his wife sat my nephews down and explained that Grandma was ill and tried to hurt Auntie Diamond and the little cousin. They explained Grandma wouldn't be part of their lives anymore. But that doesn't mean she doesn't love them. It was really difficult, but the kids are smart. They were also told their other aunt is no longer in their life, but they don't care because they dislike her not just because of me, but simply because she isn't great with them either. My mom lost it when she was informed, claiming she had rights and would see her grandchildren. My dad is looking for a permanent place but will stay with us until January, mainly because my brother's in-laws are visiting, and we have the space. He's genuinely sad, has already contacted divorce lawyers, moved bank accounts and so on. He's been getting countless emails, messages, and calls from my mom, but he doesn't reply to anything. The lawyer advised him not to block her right now. He considered maybe forgiving her, but my blood pressure spiked significantly a couple of days after my last post here because she decided to come to my place with my sister. My sister had never been to my home. My mom knew I didn't want her there, but I guess that didn't matter to her anymore. The cleaning lady let them in since she knows my mom, and I hadn't had time to inform her my mom wasn't allowed in anymore. I was just returning from errands and saw their car. This time I didn't go inside. I called all my relatives and my sister-in-law, husband's sister, was the closest. She confronted them and told them to either leave or I'd call the police for trespassing. They left, and I started feeling unwell. We went to the doctor, and they told me all the stress wasn't good and I needed to start relaxing or it would harm the baby. My dad went home with my brother, uncle, and my husband and took every single thing he could think of. My husband says my sister was there too, and kept screaming at him that he destroyed her family. My dad told my mom and sister they almost killed the baby, and he also doesn't want to talk to any of them again. My sister kept sending messages to my brother, begging for help, but it's not happening. I'm devastated and very sad for my nephew, as he's losing so much of his family because his mother has some bizarre ideas, but it is what it is. Regarding the custody and grandparent rights my mom keeps threatening, my lawyer sent her a letter stating she caused harm to my health and the baby, and if she continues harassing me, it will become an official legal matter. My brother also sent her a letter about her harassing me. Both my mom and sister have refused to go to therapy. They might be mentally ill, but with all this coming to light, it's obvious they've been in agreement for a long time. I'll focus on spending the holidays with my family, being healthy, and going to therapy. Update 3, March 30, 2022. Hi. I've received some requests for an update and had a little time, so I decided it might be a good fit. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your comments, messages, and all your advice because I feel we owe you for being even more cautious than we were. A couple of people asked me how we found out the baby's gender. I announced it after 20 weeks. The reason for waiting so long is that we experienced a loss in the past, which we were preparing to announce when it happened, and we wanted to be sure and feel safe about the announcement. Also, we were naive enough to think it would be special for my mom, and you were right. After posting, I handed it to my husband, and he read your messages, comments, and advice for a few days. We swept the house and thankfully found nothing, but still felt extremely unsafe, so we went to a hotel with my dad. Then we realized there was a tracker on my dog's vest. He's a very small dog and gets cold often, so he has a funny vest. Never in a million years would I have thought to look there, but we discovered the tracker when my dad walked him around the hotel area, and my sister came and asked him about me and reconciliation. I was really upset, so we decided to move. Thankfully, we can afford it. We're currently renting and also renting out our old place, so it's not just sitting empty. I used to love that house, but now it feels somehow ruined and tainted. Sadly, my parents' house feels the same, and not just for me. All of us, my brother, husband, dad, sisters-in-law, and even my husband's family, changed our numbers, got new electronics, and notified employers and friends and the police. We also started therapy and family therapy. My dad and brother feel extreme guilt over the situation, even though I've truly forgiven them, but we're healing as a unit. My sister and mom insist they're not wrong and don't need therapy. My dad made a new will in which my sister's son gets a trust fund and some inheritance, but my sister receives a token amount. He's truly done with her. I was feeling bad for her, but I decided to focus my energy on my baby. She's here and we are blessed. It's not the experience I envisioned since my mom isn't around me anymore. But so many friends and family members have truly surprised us. In the end, we were so paranoid we started testing some people we were unsure of by telling them I was going into labor. It worked like a charm. We discovered who was still feeding information to my mom and sister and cut them out. The rest understood when we explained the reasoning. My ex, whom my friends now call Bates, went around saying the baby was his because we'd been having an affair due to my undying love for him. Nobody believes him anymore, but it prompted my husband to contact Bates' employer and tell them about all the craziness. Long story short, he was suspended pending an internal review. I'm almost positive he'll be fired, as they've asked us for more and more information and seem genuinely apologetic. My mom has tried to find us, but all the people who know our location have gone no contact with her. My dad's lawyer sent her a letter stating that due to her instability, all correspondence will now go through lawyers. It's been just us and my dad because I felt so bad for him being alone. He's promised he'll be fine and nothing is my fault, but I still feel awful. He's been the best babysitter, feeder and diaper changer in the universe. My nephews are as loving as always, and my dad even got to visit with my sister's son. This came about because she kept making videos threatening to harm herself if my husband didn't stop alienating her family. So my dad emailed her about seeing her son and told her he would call the police about her threat, which seems to have stopped it. Lastly, someone suggested I gave Bates false hope. That couldn't be further from the truth. I spent years feeling uncomfortable because I thought he would move on. Then after I spoke up and met my husband, I spent such a long time fighting my sister about it. I had a very long engagement, which is why I married after my sister. I still love my mom and sister, but I choose a healthy life for me and my family over that love. I've discovered a lot of loyalty, love, and compassion through this whole thing. As strange as it may seem, I feel lucky it all exploded. Hopefully it's not too much of a ramble. Big hugs from me. Update 4 June 25, 2022. We officially moved into a new house, with my dad moving into the guest house. We had many discussions both in and out of therapy, and decided that while it would be good for him to be with us, we all still need our own space. We're still renting out the old place and we'll decide what to do with it later. My dad now gets to see all the grandchildren together about 3 times a week. He still has to see my sister's child separately because she refuses to let him take the child unless she knows where he lives, which to be fair is normal, but considering she's unstable, we don't want her close to us. My mom complained to the lawyers about how unfair it is that my dad still gets to see all the grandchildren, but there's nothing she can do about it. About a month ago, my dad told me he had a confession, and my stomach started hurting. Dear reader, he pays for my nephew's sister's child schooling and babysitting, which is why she still allows him to see him. He felt so guilty for hiding it and didn't want to keep secrets. I assured him it was fine and that he shouldn't feel bad. On Mother's Day, my dad received an email with a link to an Instagram account that featured a sad video about my mom, and how most of her family had abandoned her, and how much of a saint my sister was for being there for her. It was truly pathetic and enraged me, but I just sent it to the lawyer. My dad officially filed for divorce in May, and the process is still ongoing. My mom insists he's wrong, but my dad said he'd rather drink bleach than go back to her, so I think that's final. My brother and husband took my dad out for Father's Day and had a blast. My sister posted many things that day, but they managed to block my dad from even knowing about it because we wanted him to enjoy it. They also did a camping trip with the kids, which involved going to a hotel suite and setting up a tent in the middle area for the kids and a little teepee for the baby. Honestly, having a baby is one of the best things that has happened to me, and seeing my husband be the amazing father I knew he would be makes me so happy. It's tiring, but we have so much support. I feel incredibly grateful because I have my rocks by my side, my sisters-in-law, and I now have a little calendar for sharing things. All the kids get to do age-appropriate activities, and if they want to, we want to let them all know they don't need to hang out with people they dislike, and their voices matter. Right now, they're all obsessed with the baby and say they are her protectors, and we have little get-togethers, brunches, and so on. Honestly, family time is now a pleasure and not a headache without my sister there. I know it's wrong to say, but she just drains the positivity from the room. My mother-in-law also loves spending time with the baby, and stays in the guest room about once a week. She asked politely and said she didn't want to have sleepovers or anything. I feel respected and heard by her. And yes, I sometimes break down because I miss my mom a lot. I miss the mom I had or thought I had, not the one who told me I would be a terrible mother or was a hateful woman. My therapist says it's a marathon and to focus on the good. Speaking of good, Bates was terminated. Not only that, but his reputation in his industry was not only damaged but nuked. So was his brother's, but because his brother isn't in an industry that cares as much about reputation, he still has his job as far as I know. Bates sent me a 12-page, double-sided, seemingly single-spaced letter about how hurt he is that I'm denying him what's his, and that my husband is so threatened by him that he had to go and destroy him professionally because he couldn't destroy anything else. I say seemingly because I didn't read it. My lawyer did and gave me a summary. I also heard through the grapevine, no, I don't ask people. They just tell me, since they know he's stalking me, that the mother of his children moved, and he didn't even care, saying it was for the best. This man doesn't even care about his kids and wants to play family with the baby and me. Sadly, he won't be homeless or anything because his mom already let him move back in with her, so I doubt he'll learn anything from this. Not the most exciting update, but that's what's happening. Oh, and my husband burned or donated every single item given to him by my mom or my parents, with my dad's blessing. He says life is too short to give her space in his life, even with memories. To address a commenter, without revealing his industry, it's a very close-knit one, and a bad reputation can really ostracize you. He was perceived as a nice but distant feminist single dad before this. He even told some coworkers I was with him for longer than we actually were. Another commenter from India. Thank you for your kind sentiments. That's a lovely thought, but I will never speak to my mom again. I miss her deeply and I cry a lot, realizing she's not the person I thought she was. The baby deserves the best family we can provide, and my mom is not part of that. It breaks my heart, but I need to protect the baby. New update June 30th, 2024. Long time no see. I have some updates for you, but first, I want to thank you for all your comments and messages. Every time I log into this account, I'm bombarded by mostly positive things, and I really appreciate it. I'm not sure if anyone will read this, but for those who want updates, they're mainly good ones. So let's get to it. My parents are divorced now after many arguments and tantrums from my mother. She kept the house and received a lump sum payment, but that's all. My dad is like a new man, and we are all so happy for him. A little throwback. When all the drama happened, we didn't fire our cleaning lady. This is a woman who had been helping my husband's family for decades, and I was very worried about her being out of work because of what my crazy family did. Also, we're not messy, and she's not scrubbing floors on her knees or anything like that. In any case, my dad spoke with her and told her she was on paid vacation and to please wait for us if she wanted until we had a new house, but she was absolutely not fired. She was really happy about it, and so was her family. My dad started getting food and things from them from time to time because they were so grateful for what he was doing for them. Well, she has a sister who owns her own nail salon, and my dad is dating her now. She's a very lovely woman and has grown children, so she understands the current family dynamics. He's been very clear that he's not moving in or getting married, and she's content with that because she values her independence. My mother nearly had a stroke when she heard about his new relationship, constantly saying it was a late midlife crisis, and that he had to resort to being a sugar daddy. This is obviously what I heard, as I have no contact with her, but last I heard she's having a difficult time. She's struggling because she was never good at budgeting and relied on my dad, who had to put a stop to ridiculous purchases. My sister is also struggling because my dad isn't helping her with money anymore. You see, he was willing to keep helping for the sake of my nephew, but then things got very tough. My nephew started calling my child, not her real dad's baby, and called my other nephews delusional. During a birthday party, he even pushed one of my nephews from my husband's side, saying they weren't my kids' cousins, only he was. The kids were confused and distraught but immediately told an adult. My dad spoke with him, but he kept repeating it. My dad then spoke with my sister, and she said she couldn't prevent a child from telling the truth. And didn't all kids always tell the truth? He told her that until there's a change, he's cutting them off. She panicked and cried, but she's also super stubborn, so now my nephew goes to public school because my husband made my dad cut them off. Bates is still unemployed. I know I was vague about it before, but he was in an industry related to vulnerable women, and some of it related to stalking. The irony. That's why he was fired. The organization he was with didn't want this to become public knowledge. I've received 2 more very long, handwritten, rambling letters from him, and since he only has my lawyer's address, guess who has the honor of receiving, reading, and filing those ramblings? I love my lawyer and he's a champ. Apart from that, in the gossip I've heard, I haven't had major issues related to him, except for one. I was at the grocery store, and a random woman came over to ask if my child was Bates' baby. I was speechless and shocked. I asked her what she was talking about, and she said he has a photo of us on his profile, and I should be ashamed of myself for hurting such a good man. Turns out he's still perpetuating the narrative that my child is his and that I loved him so much. That's all old news, but what shocked me most was the picture comment. This isn't a publicly shared photo. It was sent to a family group once and that's it. I told my husband immediately, and he was enraged but composed. We decided to smoke out the rat. Long story short, it was my dad's two sisters feeding information to my mom. My dad was so disappointed but also had no qualms about cutting them off. They are still begging him to talk to them again. My brother and his family are doing great. We see them a lot and have been on some family holidays since the last update. They are also no contact with my mom and sister. My sister-in-law is actually super happy about it because it turns out she was not a fan of our mom but kept the peace. My in-laws continue to be lovely as well. We now allow my mother-in-law overnight babysitting, and she is over the moon about it. Sometimes she has all her grandchildren under the same roof, and they are all delighted to be with her. She's a former flight attendant, so their favorite game is to pretend to be on an airplane. Overall, they love her and we know she's good with kids, so we don't worry. She had to make her social media accounts private because my mom kept stalking her. I'm sure she's extremely jealous, but she made her own bed. Lastly, my husband keeps me sane whenever little things come up. We're considering whether we should have another baby or perhaps adopt one. We're still undecided. We have a great support system and the privilege to have these conversations. I still miss my mom a lot. I sometimes cry when I realize there are milestones I can no longer share with her. But she's not a good person, and the safety of my family matters more. Last fun fact. This Father's Day they actually went camping. It went great, apart from the mosquito bites and some sunburns.